Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of The Work. Thank you so much for being here. And today I'm going to talk about the victim versus the creator mindset. So you can either be the victim of your life and circumstances, or you can be the creator. The victim mindset is extremely limiting, whereas the creator mindset is empowering and uplifting. Shifting from victim to creator is absolutely essential in reclaiming your peace, joy, power, and prosperity. I'll start out by sharing a story with you from my recent struggles, and then I'll get into what exactly encompasses a victim mindset in comparison to the creator mindset. So you can begin to become aware of when in your life you are playing the victim card. So then you can take control and become the creator of your life rather than being the victim. If you've listened to my previous episode, then you know that I've recently gone through some really big life changes and went through a lot of struggles and difficult times this past year. There were many moments where I was getting into some pretty negative states. And overall, just not feeling my normal self. So this is when I really began to notice just how cunning and deceitful the ego can truly be. And remember, as a side note, I just want to talk a little bit about the ego, right? So the ego is the false self. It's your thoughts and emotions, and it's not what you truly are. It's what pulls you out of the present moment and then into the past or the future. All fear, worry, anxiety, guilt, shame, anger, pride, it all comes from the ego. In many Eastern books and religions and philosophies, it's known as the self. The self with a lowercase s. And it's not you. It's not who you are. Your true being is that thing that's beyond all time, form, name, labels, descriptions, and it's what's known as the self with a capital S. So the path to freedom, liberation, and peace is to transcend the ego, to transcend the self with the lowercase s, so that your true being, the self with a capital S, shines through. All right, so that was a quick little recap. Now we can get back to the story. As I was saying, I really began to notice just how cunning and deceitful the ego can be. As I would start to slip into these negative states, for whatever reason it was at that time, I noticed the ego getting louder and louder. And as the ego became louder and louder, along came, these feelings of bitterness and resentment and judging others and complaining. And the more I would fall into this trap, the more I would justify my being bitter and judgmental and angry and complaining and all of that. So it's like the ego continuously feeds off of itself. The more you identify with it, the louder it gets. Now, another quick side note, I don't want you to think that the ego is bad, but rather it's just very limited. If you label it as bad, then you're just creating another duality. By labeling it as bad, it's as if we're trying to transcend the ego, but then we let it through the back door, right? We don't want to label things as good, bad. They just are what they are, but we can see it for what it is as being limiting. As humans, we've evolved to a point where the ego's functions no longer really benefit us in our everyday lives. So now I've been doing this work on myself for quite a few years, and it's easy to forget just how quickly you can fall into these negative states if you're not constantly alert and aware. It's like the more you give into them, the greater that pull becomes and the more challenging it can be to get back out. This is why it's so necessary to always be the watcher of your mind and thoughts, to always be that constant awareness in the background, because they only become a problem when you forget what you truly are, and then you begin to identify with the thoughts as you, which they are not you. All this is to say that I began playing the victim card a lot. I was identifying with the ego to such an extent that I almost forgot that I am the creator of my life. I was losing my power. And it's a slippery slope. Once you start playing the victim card, it can get harder and harder to stop. So I want to share with you the characteristics and the mindset of the victim mentality, and then do the same for the creator, so that you can begin to make this transition from victim to creator. And now I don't mean to brag, but I'm very, very familiar with the characteristics of the victim mentality because really at one point or another in my life, I probably would have exhibited all of these characteristics, right? So that's how I'm so familiar with them. Without further ado, here's what it means to be the victim of your life. As the victim, you always complain to yourself and to others. You blame everything and everyone else for your problems. You are always asking the universe, why is this happening? Why are you doing this to me? You are in constant resistance to your life. You are always pessimistic. You give negative meaning to events, situations, and experiences that actually mean nothing. You always think, poor me. You always feel sorry for yourself. You always make excuses. You constantly create your own suffering without realizing it. Your emotions fluctuate drastically depending on what's happening moment to moment. You have very high highs and very low lows. You never have enough. You believe that you are entitled to being treated a certain way or given certain things because of all the hard times that you've gone through. You believe everyone and everything is against you or out to get you. You believe that your happiness comes from material things and relationships outside of you. You are closed-minded and you think that you know everything. You forget how powerful you truly are. You constantly feel powerless, hopeless, and helpless. And lastly, you just never have any fun. Now, if you listen to me read all of those and you're like, oh shit, Ryan, that pretty much all of those sound like me at one point or another, right? Well, I say to you, welcome to the club. We've all been there, but the awareness that we are acting in a certain way is the first step to then transcending, these characteristics. You need to become aware of when you play the victim card so that you can stop playing it. Some of these characteristics may be much more prominent in your life than others. Or maybe there's only a few that you need to work on, which is great. Or maybe there's a lot that you need to work on. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Neither is better or worse. You're here listening to this podcast right now, which means that you are ready to do the hard work on yourself, to fully become the creator of your life. That's the beauty of you being here, right? You're gaining that awareness now. It's an incredible, incredible thing. So now that you're aware of the areas you need to work on, let's take a look at what it means to be the creator of your life so that you can make that transition and that leap from victim to creator. So as the creator, you never complain because you know that complaining is a form of resistance to what is, and it steals your power. You take responsibility for everything in your life because you know that you can't change people or circumstances, but you can change how you react to them and how you show up. You are grateful for all that you have in your life. You accept every moment as it is, therefore negating any internal suffering. You are an eternal optimist, always looking for the good in every situation and every person, and you're able to see the lessons in your failures in the difficult times. You know that nothing outside of you needs to have any effect on your internal state. You know that peace and happiness comes from within and is your true nature. Your emotions rarely fluctuate. Never too high, never too low. You're always at that sweet equilibrium. You believe that every moment of your life is happening for you. You know that nothing truly means anything except for the meaning that you give to it. or the label that you put on it. You are open-minded and you recognize that you don't know everything, which means that you are always learning. It's the beginner's mindset. You know that true power comes from being in control of your emotions and your reactions. You know that the only thing that can ever hold you back from anything in your life is your beliefs and your perceptions. You know that the lens through which you see the world is what creates it. Therefore, if you change that lens, you change your world. Your internal world creates the external world. You always have a sense of playfulness and you find it easy to have fun and enjoy yourself. Now, you very likely display characteristics of both the victim and the creator mindset. This is completely normal, and it means you've already started to make that transition. And now you are aware of how in your life you are playing the victim card, which is a very powerful thing because there is a good chance these victim programs have been running in your life for many, many years. Now, in no particular order, I'm going to give you some simple methods that you can begin to use to become the creator of your life, to make that transition from victim to creator. Now, these methods only work if you consistently use them every day. So number 1, stop complaining. Seriously, just stop. Whether out loud or to other people or mentally in your head, just stop it. You may feel that your complaining is justified or it's okay or that you deserve to complain. But in reality, it's holding you back. And honestly, it's creating your own suffering. Your complaining is pulling you back into the past. You may complain about something hours, days, months, even years after it's happened. We all know someone like that, right? And what does that accomplish? Absolutely nothing. It makes you angry, frustrated, vindictive, bitter, judgmental, all of the above. All because of a past experience that doesn't need to have any effect on you now in the present moment. I want you to begin to notice there's this sweet little payoff that you feel internally when you complain. It's like this release of some feel-good chemicals, and it's almost as if the ego is giving you a reward for complaining, which is part of the reason why it becomes a cycle and it keeps happening. So once you notice this tiny little incentive that the ego gives you, it begins to lose its power over you and it starts to fizzle out until eventually it's not there anymore. Mostly because you're not complaining anymore either. So make it a priority to completely stop all complaining. And you'll see very, very significant changes in your life. Your mood, your happiness, your energy all increases just because you've stopped complaining. So number 2, observe your emotions and your reactions. This is one of the most important things I can ever tell you. And it's paramount to separating yourself from the ego. So the victim is always at mercy of their emotions. The creator is the silent watcher of their emotions rather than the experiencer. If you were truly your emotions, you would not be able to notice when you are experiencing different emotions. Just as a fish doesn't know that it's swimming through water. If you ask a fish, what he's doing in the water, he'd be like, what's water? Right? He just wouldn't know because it's just a part of him. So for you and your emotions, it's the same thing. If they were truly you, you wouldn't be able to separate yourself from them. Right? You would be completely unaware of the roller coaster that you go through every day. But you are the awareness that is noticing the emotions, that notices you're happy, that notices you're sad, or whatever the emotion might be. You are not the emotion in itself. You are the silent watcher that's witnessing these emotions coming and going on their own accord. They are not you. I cannot say this enough. They come from the ego. The more you watch your emotions, rather than being consumed by them, the more you begin to separate yourself from your emotions. They slowly begin to lose whatever power that they held over you. You are the awareness that notices the emotions. The consciousness that is untouched by the ego is ever present and is always at peace. Think of it like this: your ever-present awareness, or your true being that is one with all, is the equivalent of the sun, right? Bright, powerful, radiant, untouched. The ego, or your emotions, are like the clouds in the sky. So they move through the sky, they cover up the sun, but the sun is always there. It's always present, always shining bright. The sun is unaffected by the clouds as they come and go. The sun just does its thing. It just sits there, floating there. It's at peace with everything. It just does its thing, shining brightly, just like your true being, your true consciousness, your true awareness. It's always there, behind every emotion and every thought. Where we go wrong is when we believe that those emotions are us. We identify with them. We forget who, or rather, we forget what we truly are. So be like the sun. Watch the clouds float by, watch them do their thing, knowing that you're not them. The sun doesn't care that the clouds are there or what they do. It just keeps doing its thing regardless. It's the silent watcher. The moment you begin to watch your emotions rather than identify as them, you begin to access this deeper level of awareness, this higher level of consciousness, which is your true being. It's your divine essence that is one with all. As you begin to watch these emotions, you'll notice they tend to dissipate very quickly. When you begin to separate yourself from them, they tend to go away. Your infinite and eternal peace is always there within you. So you just have to stop falling into this trap of believing that you are the clouds or you are your emotions. This is an extremely powerful method to begin to transcend the ego and its limitations, to peel back the layers of the false self so that your true divine essence can shine through. All right, number 3, gratitude. To be grateful for all that you have, it immediately pulls you into the present moment. So gratitude equals acceptance, acceptance equals gratitude. They're two sides of the same coin. Gratitude not only helps you to stop projecting this illusory future that you believe will somehow be better than the present. You know, the constant, I'll be happy when, or I can relax when, or, in the future is when I'll have money and then I can do this, then I can travel. It gets rid of all of that. Gratitude not only helps you stop doing that, it helps you to see the bigger picture of your life and all the things that you have, all the beauty in the things that you have. It allows you to be at one with all that's in your life. It keeps you grounded. It pulls you into the present moment. So many people continue to strive for more and more and more, not realizing that what they're actually striving for is inner peace, to be at peace in every moment, in every situation. Because it's never available in the future, and it's never available through anything out there. It's only available right now in the present moment. Gratitude also acts as this catalyst to pull you out of the past. So often people derive their sense of self-worth from the past. They base their worthiness on past events and experiences and what they were or were not told by the adults in their life. Most people do not feel worthy of a beautiful, prosperous, happy life because they carry so much guilt and shame and fear from the past. Gratitude for what is and for what you have helps you to transcend those thoughts and those negative emotions and beliefs of unworthiness by showing you all the beauty and great things that you have in your life, regardless of what happened in the past. And when you're truly grateful, the universe will give you more to be grateful for. It's like a law of the universe, right? The more grateful you are, the more you will be given to be grateful for. It's such a beautiful cycle. When you're grateful, you have nothing to complain about and you become fully at peace with what is. You truly become the creator. So begin to find time in your day to be grateful, whether that's writing down everything you're grateful for, maybe first thing in the morning or before bed at night. Maybe you can set a reminder on your phone to go off several times throughout the day to just stop and pause and think of all that you're grateful for. So figure out whatever works for you. It doesn't matter how big or small the thing is that you're grateful for. It's just the fact that you're feeling these feelings of gratitude. That's what pulls you into the present moment, and it gives you more and more and more to be grateful for. Just like anything, the more you practice gratitude, the easier it becomes until eventually it just becomes who you are. It's just your way of being and how you live. All right, so number 4, have some freaking fun in your life. Seriously, have some fun. Have you ever seen someone that's always complaining and blaming everything on everyone else? Have you ever seen them having fun? Of course not. They don't have time for fun, They don't have time for that because everything is a problem. So instead, what you can do is bring a sense of playfulness into everything that you do. It's hard to be a victim when you're having fun and enjoying your life. Not only will your day become more enjoyable, but you'll begin to transcend the fear-based ego that is constantly trying to make problems when there aren't any. By adding a sense of playfulness to everything that you do, you will stop taking everything so personally, which is a core trait of the victim mentality. And you'll find that you become more creative and in flow with life. This is why kids have such big imaginations, and they always seem to be having fun. They haven't yet been conditioned by society and the world to be a certain way, to be serious all the time and, put your head down and get things done. So aim to bring out that childlike playfulness and curiosity, and life will become a lot easier. And you might find you actually get more done because you're actually enjoying it. You're not forcing yourself. So when things go wrong, just laugh about it. When you notice yourself acting out old negative patterns over and over, just laugh at yourself. The moment you can laugh at your problems and mistakes, you take away the seriousness and the self-inflicted suffering that they create. Every single one of us makes mistakes. It's how we learn. It's necessary for us to evolve and to reach higher levels of consciousness. And sometimes we need to make the same mistake over and over and over again in order to learn the lesson that we need to learn. So it's okay to laugh at yourself. It makes life, it makes your day, it makes everything more fun. All right, that sums up the 4 methods, but of course, there are many ways to overcome the victim mentality, many, many ways. But just start with these. All right, I challenge you to choose one of the 4 methods I just described, whichever one stands out to you the most, and then begin to implement it into your life. Aim to keep it in the back of your mind throughout the day. Over time, it will become second nature, and it just becomes a part of your way of being, your life. So remember, the main goal here is to start to become aware of the times you slip into the victim state. It's important not to let yourself get angry or frustrated when you do notice you're playing the victim card again. That's just like, the ego coming right through the back door. You noticing is a beautiful thing. That's your ever-present awareness noticing. The moment you allow it to trigger you, that becomes the ego leading the way again. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. All right, so just notice it without labeling it. And then after noticing, you have a choice as to how you want to show up. You can then be the creator instead of the victim. It's up to you. Now, like I say in every episode, try these methods out for yourself. Try these concepts and ideas I talk about. Try it for yourself. Please do not take my word for it. All right? Use them in your life and see what happens. Now, if today's episode resonated with you and you're ready to go deeper, I invite you to work with me one-on-one. Now, this isn't just about mindset shifts. It's about truly transforming your life from the inside out. If you're tired of feeling stuck and you're ready to fully step into your power as the creator of your life, then let's talk. I have a few spots open for coaching clients, and I'd love to see if we're the right fit. So email me at theworkwithryan@outlook.com. Again, that's theworkwithryan@outlook.com. It's a new email. So if you've emailed the old email address I had in other episodes, I don't have that one anymore. I had difficulties with it. Anyways, email me at the new one and we'll set up a call. Because the life you desire is waiting for you, and it starts with one decision. Thank you so much for being here. That is the end of today's episode. I'm so grateful that you take the time out of your day to listen to me. It really means the world to me. If you have any questions or comments about the episode or anything that I talk about, please don't hesitate to reach out to my email. Right? I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to help out. Please send me an email. I'm always there for you. Also, I believe you can leave comments on Spotify on each specific episode as well, so you can look into that. All the best, my friends, and remember, you are far more powerful than you can ever imagine. I'll see you next time on The Work.